Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of BTC, taking a look at what is going on here with Bitcoin and what we think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you have not yet joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick. Linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's kind of jump right down into this. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart and Binance is our data source. Let's go ahead and just expand this up for a second here, because what we want to do is we want to kind of talk about what's been going on in this little section just here. We did actually move up yesterday. Again, this is not much of a surprise to us, considering a lot of people were going short. The price generally wants to go against the majority in that kind of sense. So when loads of people go short, we see prices go up, and when loads of people go long, we see prices go down. So here we can see that we're consolidating into this supply range. So if you think back a couple of days, we're talking about how we were previously in this demand area. Okay, and we were seeing that we're lingering down here for too long, so we're likely to collapse on out. Okay, so we did that. We came obviously all the way down here. We pushed right the way back up again. So we can kind of park that sort of demand zone to one side now and reflect on this demand and this supply area. Okay, so the demand area at the bottom here is an area that we kind of briefly were in. We chewed through it and then rallied on through. Now we have not come back down to retest to see if this is still demand or not. So that's going to be on the horizon, I do think. We can see that we pushed up towards this high. If I go ahead and just put a horizontal line just up here at 17,061. I still think there's a room to push up a little bit higher to the 17,270 to 17,447. With that being said, though, we'll see how things progress. Now, this looks to me like we've had a pretty clear move, structured move to the upside. We're probably going to move down to the demand area and then look to move up. That we are consolidating in the supply range again here, basically indicating to us that maybe sellers are no longer here, and this could now start to form out a bit of a demand area, as in this is now demand. Okay, so it's going to be one of those. It's going to be interesting to kind of see if this is going to turn into a demand area or not. We are lingering for a tad too long, so generally we're going to see some kind of move to the upside. Now, essentially, if we come into this, I imagine that a lot of people probably are going long. I think we still have room to the downside if we take a look at Bitcoin here, and I think they've got a double top scenario right there. Let's just go check that for a second. Right in there, it's triple top actually. I still think we're going to have to come down a fraction lower, again probably touching on the demand zone, and you can kind of see the 1-to-1 ratio at 16,635 right in there. If I draw these waves on, it would look like an A, B, C structure, okay, or more specifically WXY if we want to be really accurate about it. And you can see how we'd potentially touch on this next or previous demand area, retesting this area that we broke through. So what price generally likes to do is it likes to push on through these areas. It then finds some form of resistance and then comes back down and retests the area that it pushed all the way through, confirming that this area is now a support area, considering that we broke it. Okay, so looking at the wave counts and the typical kind of structures that we'd expect there, I would say, yeah, we could potentially move on down. Now we are close to a double bottom already just in here. We can see that at 16,767. So if we lose that, then we can talk about progressing to the downside a fraction more, and so forth. If we keep it as a double bottom or maybe even a triple bottom here, then we might actually have just turned this supply area into the demand area, and in which case we can move on forward. I do think that we have a likelihood of moving up towards the $17,200 to $17,400 level here on BTC. Now, overall, I would much prefer it to come down just a fraction further towards that 16,630. And the reasoning is it would allow us to have a nice kind of structure like this. However, it does pull into question what on earth is going on this side. I'm going to go ahead and quickly remove these two counts. In fact, I'm going to leave that one in and reflect on maybe thinking that this is a bigger WXYXZ kind of scenario going on inside here, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for this kind of movement to the upside and then pull that back to the downside unless it is, of course, a WXY. So in fact, I might just go ahead and map it in as such for now and see if later moves make a little bit more clarity over what is going on in here. So at the moment it would look like that. It's not an impulsive 1 2 3 4 5, but it is 5 waves, but they're actually made up of corrective structures. It's not a diagonal or anything like that, so everything's looking okay. I would say probably WXYXZ if anything at all. So moving back to kind of the current price action, yeah, I think we've got the potential to first come down towards our demand area one more time and then break on up into the bigger and larger supply range. Okay, and once this kind of happens, 17,200 to 17,400, then I think we've completed a bit more of a macro B wave structure where we can then start to talk about moving down into those lows once again. So essentially everything's looking pretty much as we kind of have been talking about and articulating for the last few weeks. Nothing too much going on there. Now, in terms of wallet counts, we obviously still see retail investors piling in, withdrawing from the exchanges. No real change with retail investors, but of course there's a buyer and there's a seller. So if their retail investors are buying, who are they buying it from, and should that be more of a concern to us? So when we take a look at the whale-sized wallets, we can see that the whales here, specifically with 1,000 Bitcoin or more, are not backing Bitcoin. They are selling, and they're selling to the retail investor. Okay, we can also see that the Kraken-sized wallet is pretty much not doing isn't doing too much. It's kind of just sideways trading. And it's not even the right way of articulating it. It's basically no activity, not buying, not selling, just being pretty chilled. And I think that's the thing that a lot of retail don't seem to quite understand. The whales and the bigger money here, they're pretty happy to let this thing bleed out for a very long time if it needs to. Essentially, they won't be buying until retail, okay, until we see the shrimps and the dolphins sell their Bitcoin at a discounted rate to themselves, okay? So the whales at the moment are still selling to retail, and until retail is willing to sell to the whale, essentially, I don't think this is going to stop. I think we're going to just see a continuation in the bleeding sense, and we're going to continue to tumble in price. Now, that might split opinions. There's a lot of people who believe that the bottom keeps coming in, right? And every single low that keeps arriving here. This is pretty much what happened in 2018. Lots of people who don't really fully understand the economic climate and kind of what's going on, calling local bottoms and calling the bottom of a bear market time and time again. It happened a lot in 2018. It's happening here again in 2022. There's a lot of hopium out there of people trying to think that the bottom is in and we can suddenly move to the upside because, you know, a trend line on a chart says so. Essentially, the bigger problem here is that there is no incentive for big institutional players to be purchasing up. And until that happens, and until we see big money buying up Bitcoin from the smaller money, okay, the dumb money, the retail money, if you will, you know, we can't be foolish enough to think that the bottom is in. So I'm still expecting further lows. At the moment, current structures are mapping out into the $13,000 levels. And, you know, after that, who knows what could happen? We could have a small relief rally and then collapse even further. Okay, so keeping an eye on where the money is flowing is incredibly important, in my opinion. Things are only just getting started here. So it's one of those. Keep a close eye on it. This is the first time in Bitcoin's history that it has been through a recession. Do not forget that. Do remember that many indicators have already kind of flashed these really poor signals to say that bottoms were in and they were not. So do not rely on BTC history. Instead, start looking at what actually matters in this space. Supply, demand, and understanding what big money is doing. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.